Can you remember what your training was like a month ago? Some of you probably can. Some of you might not. Can you remember what your training was like a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago? More of you probably cannot. I can tell you exactly what I've done on this day for the past 7 years. Here I have 7 years of training. I could tell you exactly what I've done for about the past 7 years on every single day. So why is logging your training important? I'm a huge proponent of logging everything you do in your training. A lot of people might try logging for 1 week, 2 weeks, and then they think, I'm not doing anything with this, there's no point, it's just a waste of time, so I'm gonna stop. But you really have to do it for a long time before you really see the benefits. Our sport is so periodized throughout the year, especially at the collegiate level, that we should be comparing what we do from August one year to August the next year, rather than 1 week of August to the next week of August. Both are important, but most people can remember what they did last week as opposed to last year. So once you've logged for a full year, you can go back and really look at your training and analyze it to figure out what worked well, what didn't work well, and use that moving forward to become better. It's not so much about looking at the times that you ran for one workout, but more so looking at the weeks and months leading up to a period of good racing. For example, I'm always going back to my sophomore year of college because I feel like I was racing really well at that time. So I can go back and look at the workouts and the training that I was doing leading up to those races and figure out what could have been the cause of these good races. So some trends that I noticed from that time were that I was running on grass a lot. I was doing several workouts on grass while still racing on the track. I was working out by myself a lot, so I was able to focus a lot on my own pace instead of getting caught up in a group. So those are just little things that you can learn about yourself and about your training to help you become better in the future. Being very strict with your log keeping can also help keep you accountable. I know I always feel really guilty if I have a lot of blank spots in my log that were not planned. Also, if you've got a coach, I'm sure he or she would love to look at your log and see exactly what you're doing, because the more your coach knows about you, the more he or she can help you become better. So now I'm going to show you some different methods of logging that I've used over the years. This binder is from my freshman year of college starting in June of 2010. I don't know what it was that made me want to start logging, but going into college it's something that I figured I should keep track of. So I made this. It was very crude, but it got the job done. I just drew one sheet and made copies of a bunch of others to get me through the entire year. So after I made it through a full year of logging, I decided that worked pretty well, so I'd make a slightly less crude version this time. So I went on to create an Excel spreadsheet that followed mostly the same format. I still had the days along this side here, and then the different sections that I could write about across the top. The point was I could still go back and look at what I did every single day and the times that I ran in every single workout. So that has been by far my most consistent method of logging over the years. So next up is an example of something different I did during my 5th year of school. So in this binder for my 5th year, I still have everything that I wanted in my training as far as times and mileage goes, but I did it in more of a narrative format, so I would tell a story along as I went with the training. It's actually a pretty lengthy read as it gets up to page 118, pictures included though. If you would like to read that, I do have a link to that down in the description. And here, this binder represents my 7th year of logging. So I'm back to the old regular format, and this was my most recent week of training. I've only got probably 4 or 5 weeks left before I finish up this binder and move on to my 8th binder. In addition to logging with the old paper and pencil, I've also tried logging digitally. I just like having my training in multiple places, so in case I lose one for the other reason, I can access the other easily. There are several free online running logs that you can use, and here I'm going to show you one that I like to use called runningtowin.com. So after making an account on runningtowin.com, here's what your home page looks like. The main thing here is that we have your week of training here, and you can input workouts, and below that we have a graphic display of your current month of training. Now we're just at the beginning of the month of April, so if we go back to March, you can get more of an idea of what that looks like. All these colors represent different things, so these two yellow spaces, those are races. The green spaces are all my workouts, and the red spaces are all two-a-days that I did. Everything else is just a normal run or a long run. And you also get to see how much mileage per week you're running. So now we'll take a brief look at how you can actually log in here and the different options of customization it allows for you. So if you click on menu and go over here to log a workout, here you are. So I won't get into too much detail with this because you can explore that for yourself. But starting off, you have some general workout details as far as what time of day and what date you ran, how much mileage you put in, and you can input a time. Over here, if you have certain routes you can run, you can add those to this so you can easily access those later. Here you can add pairs of shoes. If you like to track mileage on those shoes, that'll do that for you. Over here, your type of activity, list all the different types of things you could do. I like to keep mine simple here, and I use everything for a normal run unless it is a long run, unless it is a race, or if it is any kind of workout, whether that's a tempo, fartlek, or threshold, or interval workout. I always just input that as interval workout to get the green colored bar on the front. And then so down below that here at intervals, if you really want to input each interval one at a time, you can do that here and list your goal pace, your actual pace, and then how much rest you had. For me, I like to do pretty much everything up here in the activity comments. So I'm going to take you to one of my log entries and show you exactly what mine looks like. So here's a pretty recent workout that I did. Total, the mileage was 10 miles for the session. I list it as an interval workout even though it's a tempo run. And then in this first section, I list everything that I do as far as training goes. So I started off with the mobility routine, warmed up 2 miles, did a 6-mile tempo, cooled down 2 miles, I had a short break, and then I followed that up with some light mobility drills and form drills, followed by my full strengthening routine consisting of weights, med ball, lower leg stability, and planks. After that, I listed the splits of the tempo run. So I list each individual mile split as well as the cumulative split to go along with that. So I finished in 33 minutes flat. And then I like to finish up with some details of the workout and write about it a little bit, just so you have some feelings to match up with those splits rather than just seeing the times by themselves. So back to the top of my running log. Here it will automatically show you the past 3 weeks of training. You can edit that to view whatever you want to. So you can view the past 2 weeks up to the past 12 weeks. You can view certain months of training, or you can just view a certain date range. So here I've got my date range set to a 6-week training cycle that I just finished up. So if I click view date range, now it is going to show me a graph of those 6 weeks. So you can easily see how the mileage progressed from week to week. You can see how often I raced and how often I worked out. You can see the total running miles throughout that period. So if you want to calculate a weekly average, you can easily do that. And it's just really cool to play around with and look at certain periods of training. So that is it for my very brief preview of runningtowin.com. I do log on here very consistently, usually every day or two. So if you want to follow what I'm doing, there is a link to my log down in the description. So that is how I feel about logging your own training and why it is crucial to your growth as a runner. So that was your first running tip with Ben. I will catch you next time.